Hi, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, what I want to do is initiate a conversation. I'm initiating it. It's absolutely going to be ongoing on this channel, and it's about the importance of communicating who you are. Okay. Woo. There's a vast mixture of feelings and emotions related to me making this video and initiating a conversation around the importance of communicating who we are. Because it's something that for the vast majority of my life, it's something that up until 12 years ago, I cared nothing about. So the fact that I am now an expert on this topic, and it's something that is the most near and dear to my heart, obviously has involved a tremendous transformation. So I want to start sharing some of that transformation and what took place with you. And I'll give you a little background, a little backstory. Let me start out by saying that when I was a kid, I was absolutely obsessed with understanding who I was. So self-awareness, personal development was a big thing. It's always been a big thing in my life. However, communicating who I was, what I was thinking, what I was feeling, what I was going through, no interest. It's just, I didn't do it. I didn't care to do it. I was often told that I needed to do it. So I think it was a mixture of not knowing how to do it, but it was truly not caring, not having a desire to do it. I've only had a handful of boyfriends, and I actually had one of them when I was in my late 20s. For my birthday, he gave me a rabbit because he said, as he gave me the rabbit, he said he was giving it to me because he actually wanted to see if I could care about something. So I know how that sounds. So we're not gonna pull the strings on what that was like, that relationship was like, and what that sounds like. But I'm using it as an example to highlight that I was very closed off, right? So I did not share, I did not express my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions. So people felt very locked out of my life. What I was ambitious, driven, and determined. And I felt that's all people needed to know about me. They need to know what I envision and how I plan to make it happen. So everything was at the what level. What I wanted to do, what I wanted to achieve, what I would do to get there. And on the flip side of that, if I wasn't being obsessed with wanting to conquer the world and achieve big things, then what I imagined and what I talked about was just breaking away completely from society and going to hide out in a cabin in the woods by myself, bunch of books, just things to read and learn. And that was like that. Those were my two worlds. Those were my two alternatives: conquer the world and do really big things, or go live in complete isolation by myself, just in nature, learning and reading. That's how I viewed who I was and my life and my desires. So the thing with all of those world conquering entrepreneurial endeavors that I had, ironically, they all had to do with wanting to help people be better versions of themselves. So I always wanted to help and change people, even though I didn't get to know or actually took the time to really care about people. And it was never in a vindictive, people suck, I hate people kind of way. It was truly from a selfish, I don't need people, therefore I don't care about people kind of way. In a, let's face it, I really want to protect myself. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to open up. I don't want to be vulnerable. And I don't want to engage and care about people. I mean, that's the truth of the matter, right? Like, it manifested and I don't care about people. So I don't connect with them. I don't spend, quality time. I was nice. I mean, if for the people who are watching this and are listening who have known me for a really long time, some of you might be like, I don't understand, because that's not the impression that I ever had about who you were. Some might be like, yeah, you were always kind of hands off, closed off, so determined and focused. And there's a lot of reason why people excuse our behaviors, why people don't care or don't notice that you're not even opening up, that you're not even making yourself available to them. So what I'm sharing here is like what was behind the curtain, right? What I was truly thinking and feeling, and it showed in my behavior. And I was very transactional in my relationships. So I would be nice to everyone, but you wouldn't get a whole lot of my time if I didn't think that there was something for me to gain from my interaction and, spending my time with you. And here's the thing. I want you to be honest. And this is the part of, we're going to initiate a conversation, is I'm opening up and I'm confessing the way that I was. And I'm being very honest to encourage you to do the same, because some of the ways that I was is not unique to me. It is part of how human beings are towards each other, because of the way that we want to protect, we want to shelter, we want to, avoid pain and all of those things. So that's going to be part of that continuous conversation that we are going to. How does it happen? How does the person who has not cared about others or opening up about herself, how does she end up initiating a conversation, making a video about the importance of communicating who we are? Or for that matter, how does that person become an expert in helping people open up and be vulnerable and share who they are through personal stories? How does that happen? I'll tell you how it happens. God is the only one who can make someone's purpose and calling the one thing that they've resisted, that they've avoided, and that they simply couldn't do. Only God can do this. Only God can transform a heart that was closed off, that was independent, that was self-reliant, and quite frankly, like I said, that was selfish and that was scared, into one that is open and loving and understands that deep connection and community are so important, and that we need to be vulnerable and authentic with others. Only God can create this complete 180 in someone, and that's what he did in me. And there was a defining moment when he called me to start walking into that change. It would take hours and hours for me to share how much work God has done in my life and in me, and just how he pursued me, he transformed me, he changed me, he renewed me, and I'm a complete new, much better version of myself, right? In the fullness of who I am in Christ. Way too much to talk about. So I'll start with the first thing that he did, which was to bask me in his love, to teach me about love, and to start working on changing my heart. So in Ezekiel, there's a scripture about how he'll give us a new spirit and a new heart. He'll take a heart of stone and give us a heart of flesh. So he began doing this great work on my heart through really teaching me about what love was all about, which is what allowed for me to have the heart posture ready to receive a revelation that he had for me. Now, this revelation came in 2014. At that time, in 2014, I was stationed at Marine Forces Europe and Africa in Böblingen, Germany. And when you're stationed in Germany, the opportunities to travel are just amazing. So Memorial Weekend was coming up, and I decided to go to Prague. I drove to Prague, and incredible, amazing city. I was really enjoying myself there. And he's passed away, but I had little man, my dog, with me at the time. So the second day that I was there, I took little man out for a walk in the park. It was a beautiful sunny day. And as I'm walking down the path, and not too far in the distance, I saw a man on a bench, and his pants were wet. And it caught my attention that his pants were wet, like really wet. And all of a sudden, I felt a desire to go get him another pair of pants. Simple enough. Go ask the guy what size pants, go buy him a pair of pants, and bring it back to him. That didn't seem difficult to me. But I'm thinking, this is not difficult, yet I'm not moving. I'm not able to move. I do not know how to go help him. It's not that I don't know how to go buy a pair of pants. I don't know how to help him. I don't know how to step in this moment where he needs help and help him. So as I'm frozen there, I'm frozen, I'm confused. I get that I can't move, that I don't know what to do. As I'm like wrestling with myself, I hear God say, and not only do you not know how to help, what to do, you have never cared about this before. And as I'm listening to what he said, my heart just breaks, because my heart is not in a position where it can break for somebody else. And it's true. I'm admitting to myself, it is true, Lord. I have never cared to help people in this kind of way before. And I don't know what to do. And tears started rolling down my cheek, and I just knew there's nothing I could do. I did not know. I was just overwhelmed with so many emotions and just still frozen. So I turned my back on him, and I started walking back to the hotel. And as I'm walking back and I'm crying, I'm just asking and pleading with the Lord to teach me how to change, to make a way for me to change, because I don't know how, and I don't even know where to start. That was the second most life-changing moment of my life. I, of course, did not know it at the time. But here's the thing. When I turned around and I started walking back to the hotel, I started praying. And I prayed, God, change me. God, make me into someone who cares more about other people. God, make me into someone who would know what to do in a situation like that and would act. What I was really praying, again, didn't know it at the time, what I was really praying was, God, make me more like Jesus. So yes, the first most defining moment, life-changing moment of my life, when I gave my life to Jesus. The second is when unknowingly I prayed to God, make me more like Jesus. I know it now. And I tell you what, you pray to God to make you more like Jesus, he's going to get busy answering that prayer. So in the last decade, there's been tremendous change and transformation that has taken place. There's a lot more work to be done. So it's an ongoing process. But man, have I been renewed in the last 10 years. Way too much to even start covering in one video, particularly in this video. But what I do want to touch on is that the entire way I had decision and choices to make. One such choice became very clear to me the morning of my first stay at an Airbnb when my host asked me a question. Time stopped as I realized I can walk two different paths here. The one where I give a quick answer and I go to my room and it's done, or the other where I actually open up, make myself vulnerable, and express more about who I am. Clearly, I chose the latter because I had committed myself to changing. I had committed myself to becoming someone who would connect to other human beings and that would know how to care. So I shared a personal story. Honestly, it did come natural to me. I knew, like, I made the decision, and then I needed a tool, I needed a method, I needed an option on how to express myself. And I shared a story, a personal story. And I stayed there for a couple of days, and I really truly got to connect with him. And when I left, I knew that I had the capacity. I could do this. Like, this was possible, and I could do it. So, jackpot. I've done it. Okay? I discovered a method for me to be able to express and communicate who I am. I felt really good about it. And I went all in with it and refined it over the last couple of years. I didn't know that it would lead to where I am today, or that I would end up with a desire of igniting a personal storytelling movement, but I did know it was being extremely effective in my life. Now, God was doing a lot of other work, peeling layers and healing wounds and pains. And so different things were starting to merge and converge into a point where, okay, I'm in a place now where I'm able, I'm ready, I have this tool and the skills, and my heart is healed and whole, and I want to build relationships. I want to improve the relationships that I have, and I want to develop new friendships. Well, when I got to that point is when I got to realize it is really hard to get to know other people. So here I am. I'm in a place where it's now easy for me to open up and be vulnerable and share my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And it's just not getting reciprocated by others. I'm realizing how closed off and that people have walls. And I've become a better active listener. So I'm listening for the things that really help me get to know someone. And all I'm hearing is this surface level conversation and all this what level dialogue. And it's great. Like, I want to know what you like and what you do and what you're interested in and what you've achieved. But that's not what's really allowing me and helping me get to know you. I need to know who you are. I need for us to move the conversation to who level, relationship conversation. So I know the core of who you are. I know the events and the experience that have shaped and impacted who you are. I know I need to know your virtues, your values, your beliefs, you know, your mindset, the way that you think, and what makes you feel what. Like, I need more so that I know who you are, so I connect at a deeper level so we can develop real trust and a real relationship. And it's not happening. We're not getting there. And that's when I realized, you know what? I don't feel as bad for being as closed off as I was, because everyone is somewhere on the spectrum, from it's very easy to communicate who I am to I have zero desire to communicate who I am. And initiating this conversation is about talking about this spectrum and where you're at and who's who on the spectrum for what reason, right? It's what gets in the way to communicating who we are, because it is so important to communicate who we are. It's not just a nice skill to have. It is essential for creating trust, forging real bonds, for preventing misunderstanding and offenses, and resolving conflict, and fostering deeper relationship with each other, so that we really see, get to know, understand, have empathy, care for one another, so that we don't just walk away like that from someone. It's going beyond the superficial relationship to having deeper, more meaningful connections and relationship with other human beings. It is seeing one another. It's taking the time to understand each other. We need that. We are social creatures. Our physical, emotional, and mental health rely on us being part of community, being connected, being heard, being seen, being understood. And that's something that I did not understand. I really thought that not caring and that I didn't need anyone was perfect. Yet, I got to tell you that my mental health did paint a completely different picture. I suffered from depression and suicidal ideation for decades. And it's not until I developed my relationship with God and became intentional in developing my other relationship and friendship and community and being part of that I was able to battle and defeat all of those demons. So we need each other, and being part of each other's life requires us to open up, be vulnerable, and communicate who we are. So I want to talk more about the illusions that we have as far as, and that lead us to being isolated, that lead us to being way too self-reliant, and that actually hurt the growth of our personal growth and development and evolution, but that of also society. But I'm going to do that in part 2 because this video is starting to be a little too long. I appreciate you though listening, and it was good for me to be able to share more about myself with you. And again, more stories to come about that. But at least I want to learn more about you, and I want to get you engaged in this conversation with me. So leave a comment. Let me know where you're at on that spectrum. How do you feel about communicating who you are? Do you think it is important, something that needs to be done and that you want to do? All right, I will see you in part 2 of this, initiating this conversation about the importance of communicating who we are.